Hello, everyone. All right, we are on a roll. The last couple of weeks, we talked about bioindividuality and how everyone has to do their own thing and everything in moderation, and we gave you permission for that. Just a reminder, this is Healthy Meal Preppers. I'm Dr. Amita Kumar. With me is personal trainer Nikita Sharma and healthy meal prep coach Melissa Chalfant. So, I'm going to ask the questions today because I am not an expert on macro calculating. Let's start with you, Melissa. Tell me, how do you calculate? Why do you calculate? And why is it important, I guess? Or what are
Right.
macros?
Right. So macros, we refer to macros being the measurement of how many, um, how the quantity of how many protein. It's typically thought of in your protein, grams of carbohydrates, grams of fat. Sometimes people will call calories part of your macros, but it's typically those three pieces of units of measure that we attach to each and every meal or drink that you have in a day. And when people talk about your macro budget, or your macro count, it's adding up from the time you take your first, you know, drink of anything outside of water back to the, very end of your day before you have your glass of water before you go to bed. All of those meals and drinks throughout the day make up your macros for the day. So, what's helpful is when you're trying to change a lifestyle, you're trying to make a lifestyle change, or even just be cognizant, really, of what you're consuming in a day. We tend to use macro calculators to one as an input, right? So, a place where you can input your meals, MyFitPal or one of those, or, kind of those popular apps. I think I've told y'all, I like the chronometer or chronometer, however you pronounce that. I like those a lot, to help you figure out what you just consumed or you're about to consume, what the macro level is for that food or drink, right? And so that's typically, and then you can create goals around that. So, as you know, right, we talk a lot about protein consumption and carbohydrates, whether they have a good rap or a bad rap, but that's literally what macros mean. And me, I'm the math girl, so I love me some math. And I like knowing when I'm trying to make a lifestyle change or I'm trying to reset, I like to know exactly how much I can have of something before I'm outside of my goals for the day, right? So, yeah, yeah, that's a macro. Did I do
Okay,
good?
Nikita. Yeah, that was good. That's a lot of information. Nikita, tell me your take.
Yeah, that was a really extensive breakdown of macros, and Melissa hit most of it. I think the other important thing to mention is each macro, so protein, carb, fat, reacts, or it causes your body to do something different, and it reacts with your body in a way. So protein is important because it helps you build muscle, helps you stay full. And carbs are important because they give you energy. And fats, you can think of fats as like the lubrication for your body and your joints. So, how we play with the different macro ranges depends on how your body behaves. So, someone who has a lot of protein is going to be more in that muscle building zone, as opposed to someone who has a very, very low amount of protein. Their body doesn't have the proper amino acids and building blocks to build muscle efficiently and effectively. So that's an important thing to know as well. And each macro is in, well, I won't, because all the different diets out there, but I believe every macro is important. The body absolutely needs carbs, a healthy amount, and a healthy amount of fats, because each one, like I said, plays a certain role in your body. That's important. So,
Yeah. So, and one of the things we were talking about, or we said we were going to talk about, is a macro calculator. So, Nikita, tell me a little bit about the types of information I have to have before I'm going to go on to a macro calculator. What's it going to ask me?
mhm. So, and I don't want people to get like, I know there's a bit of like anxiety around macros about like, oh, people don't want to become the calorie counter girl, like stressing over 5 calories. And this is not it. Like macros actually give you so much freedom because you realize no food is off limit. Just like as long as it fits within your macros, you can technically eat it. So the information that is required to find your specific macro range, because it's going to be different for every body. Everybody's body is different. So you need your activity level, and it's going to usually give you 4 breakdowns. Sedentary, which is like honestly, if you sit for 8+ hours on your butt, that would be you. Lightly active is maybe if you walk or do exercise 1 or 2 times per week, even 3 times. Moderately active would be someone like me who, like, I train 4 days a week in the gym. I also do cardio here and there. So that's moderate. And then very active would be like training for a marathon or something very, very intense like that. Also, it takes into account your age, how much body fat approximately you have, and other 1 or 2 other details. But it's quite straightforward. You plug it in, and most macro calculators you can adjust if you want high protein or low protein or
That's
whatever. And
frozen.
so,
Oh, there we go.
oh,
Yep,
and
gotcha.
if you are looking to build muscle and get a little bit toned, then I do recommend you to put high protein. And yeah, I think what else? Yeah, did I miss
Age.
anything though?
Did we talk about age?
Age will come in there for sure, for sure. And
Why, Dr. Kumar? Why is age one of those contributing factors?
Oh, age. I have this conversation with my patients like daily almost. What age I am in here and what age I am all over the rest of me. Um, we just have a different metabolism as we get older and we need different things. And in our 20s, it was probably more about being thin than strong. Um, and I think when you get into your 30s and 40s, it's more about being strong and lean, or maybe not lean, but just strong, right? And kind of testing out how fit you can get and how strong you can get. And then probably in your 50s and 60s, it's more about like strength building for prevention of disease or improvement of disease, even cardio and things like that. So I just think that yeah, it's not what I learned in med school. A body is supposed to be a body, but as I age, as my patients age, definitely like every 10 to 20 years, things start to change, and I think that that's why it's important to also revisit your macros and revisit your exercise routine,
Right.
revisit your shopping list, etc. You guys have all heard about my pizza and Coke days. Um, those were not short. Like so, and definitely like you feel it. And I think that again, just going to reiterate that when I really try to think to myself, food is fuel. This is just like a great demonstration of that. When you think food is fuel, and then you have your calculated protein, carbs, sugars, fats, etc., you can actually see how your food is fuel. And to me, just
Right.
seeing is a lot easier to also like make it happen. Doesn't mean you don't slip. It just means your brain has to be reminded that food is fuel.
Right. Right. Yeah, the one, so I know Nikita, you have one that you just shared with us. I forget what was the name of that one. Macro calculator.
Hmm.
You
Yeah,
shouldn't
macro
have to pay
calculator.
for one. Yeah, so if somebody's asking you to pay for one, you should not have to pay for a macro calculator. Nikita's going to share one that's free.
Yeah, it's on healthyeater.com, just
Healthy eater.
healthyeater.com. Very straightforward,
Right.
nice. And
We've got
then,
one on our website. I would say it's okay-ish. There's one on our website, which is healthymealpreppers.com. It's okay-ish. There's one that I really love that a company called Eat This Much does. And they have a little calculator button on the side of theirs. It's still free. I think you do have to give them your email address or something like that. But that one takes into account some questions that not all macro calculators give you, which is it wants to break it down for you by meal. So it's going to ask you, how many times do you like to eat in a day? I believe, I haven't done this in a while, but it also asks you how many of the times that you eat are meals versus snacks. So it gives you a little bit of flexibility. I know there are some people who just like to keep their math simple, right? And so if my macro calculator told me I get, you know, I don't know, 60 grams of protein or something like that, it's like, am I eating, do I like to eat big meals or do I like to eat a lot of small meals? And then how many times do I like to eat? And so I think for those who like just tell me what to do and I'll do it, a calculator that gives you that per meal budget is kind of nice. But also, for those who have we talked about bio individuality last week. So you can find macro calculators specific to the type of way that you like to eat because it can help suggest meals for you and things, tips and tricks. So if I say that I don't want to eat gluten, for example, I can pick a gluten-free. Next, your macro calculator is not going to change from whether I'm plant-based or, I like to be gluten-free, but certainly the suggestions of meals will be very different, right? So someone who's plant-based will get their protein in a completely different way from somebody who picks a keto, type of lifestyle. And I think that was what was so nice about hearing last time was it's not an all or nothing. And, you can try things out and see how your body reacts and how you like it, right? It's about making choices.
mhm.
I like that.
Yeah. No, that's a big amount of information. Probably need to listen to that one more time. And to be continued next time.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening today.
Yeah, that was good.